everyone, today I am building an extension table and an outfeed table for my table saw, and I'm going to laminate it to match my countertops. So we've got a lot to do. Let's get started.
Now, I'm not sure about the rest of you, but whenever I get really focused on a project, my wife has the strangest way of starting conversations. She normally starts off by saying, "Did you hear what I just said?" Now, this is a project I want to last a long time, so I used some scrap cabinet grade plywood I had laying around, glued it up, almost glued it up backwards, but thankfully I caught it. Once that was done, I put a 3-inch wide apron out of 2 layers of plywood all the way around the perimeter, and then clamped it all together. After it had dried, used my favorite folding pocket chisel to chisel off all the excess glue, and then routed out all the sharp edges underneath, because I know I'm going to have to get under the saw and I don't want to be bumping my head on it. After I had it all cleaned up, I put 2 layers of exterior grade paint on the bottom to help with the moisture that we get here in South Carolina. This will hopefully help prevent some of the swelling. Now, after I had it painted, I flipped it over, and because there's enough sharp corners in my shop already, I wanted to round out the edges, and ran into a nail. So after I clipped the nail off, I fixed the edge with the belt sander and just evened it out some. At this point, I laminated the edges with the laminate that matches my countertops, and then I used a 1/4-inch round over to round over the bottom of it, so no sharp edges on the bottom. Now on the top, I used a flush trim bit to get the laminate nice and tight flush with the top, and then cleaned up the excess again with my folding pocket chisel, and just sanded up any imperfections that needed to be taken care of. When that was done, there was a small gap at the corner in the top of the laminate that I needed to fill, and normally I would just use Bondo, but this is a new product that I am absolutely loving. It's one of those things I wish I would have had years ago, or would have saved me so much money in time and labor. I'm using a CA gel and hardener called 2P10. Now, you could fill any large gaps with this, spray the hardener on it, and by the time you get your sander out, it's ready to sand it, and you can just keep going. Absolutely love this product, and I don't think I'll be using Bondo too much anymore. Once I had all those imperfections filled, I sanded it all out, everything was great, and then I set about marking out the laminate for the top. After I had the top kind of traced out about where it was going to be, I used a pair of scissors just to cut both the straight edges on one side, and because it's hard to turn corners with scissors, I used my SafeCut ruler and a straight edge to cut the rest of it. Now that ruler keeps your fingers right out of the way, which is really nice. It's another one of those things I wish I would have had years ago. Once I had everything cut out, I just used some weldwood contact cement, covered both surfaces really well, and let it dry to the touch. After that was done, I used my extension cord. This is a tip I got from a subscriber to kind of keep everything separated. So when I put the laminate on, the 2 glues wouldn't contact until I had it right where I wanted it to. Once I had the position right, just pulled the extension cord out and pushed everything into place. Really cool tip, and I'll be doing that from now on rather than using PEX tubing. Again, repeated that on the piece I had to add on there, and once that was done, rolled it all out. Now, any area that was touching wood, I just used a standard flush trim bit to cut the laminate. That would keep it nice and tight up against the wood. And on the side where I had laminate on the sides, I used a standard laminating cutting bit. Now, whenever I do that, I always put Vaseline or white lithium grease along the edge to kind of help lubricate that bit so it doesn't burn the laminate. Now, after I went and cut all the edges of the laminate out with the bit, I use a technique for getting the edge really nice, which is just starts off with a medium file and then go to a fine file. And rather than going up and down, you just push that file straight along the grain, and that's going to give you the best finished look. Looking good. After I had all the laminate work done, I wanted to mount this thing on the table saw from the top. What I mean is I want to be able to take it on and off as easily as possible. If I have to flip the saw over to work on it or whatever, I need to be able to get it off. So to do that, I just marked out some areas that I could drill down into the angle iron on the back of the saw, used my flush cut drill bit system, and drilled all those holes out. Now I can use a power head screw in here, and when I tighten it down, It'll be just below the surface so it won't interfere with any plywood or sheet goods sliding across it. Now after I had all the holes drilled, I set it in place, leveled everything all out, and then came through and pre-tapped the holes. Now I'm using power head metal tapping screws, so I really didn't need to, but I took a little extra caution because I want to be able to get these screws in and out really easily. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm really enjoying this build. Now if you want to see something really cool, be sure to subscribe if you're not. In the next project, we're going to add a homemade router lift, homemade horizontal mortise machine, and a homemade oscillating spindle sander, all to the table saw extension. A special thanks goes to FastCap today for letting me use some of these amazing products. And if you'd like to check out some of the products I used in today's video, check the description box below for links. They have over 900 products and are continually adding more, many of which are designed by folks just like you and me, the people that are out there doing it every day.